Only that.
Right. Is that any good?
This is okay, but that's better.
Is it? Try a bit of this. It can be a lot better than that.
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week, Leo sent me Diamond Dogs, and this 2025 film was directed by Chris Smith and stars Nick Elliott, Andy Blyth, and Anja Kick, among others, of course. So what is the story of Diamond Dogs? Well, with this movie, it's about these two retired criminals, and of course, they're getting back together to do one last heist. And this one is to steal a bunch of diamonds from some safe. But they need a team of 7 to 10 people. So they have to go around trying to convince their old friends, meet up with them and, recruit them to their team. Along the way, of course, there's issues with recruitment. And, in the end, will they actually, pull off their heist? Well, for that, you gotta watch the movie and find out. All right, so let's discuss Diamond Dogs. Well, with this one, it is a comedy. And of course, comedy is subjective. So it might be for you, it might not be. With this comedy, I didn't particularly, laugh out loud ever, but I did chuckle quite a few times. With this one, the comedy just comes from these two old guys talking to each other. And I think the jokes, tend to be for kind of an older audience. Of course, I'm no spring chicken anymore, but I did, find them funny. It's a lot of just kind of them bantering with each other. And, it has its own certainly quality to it. There's one where they do airplay on a TV and the other guy's like, what is that? How can you send something from your phone to your TV? And then they start explaining, technology. And then they say, what's the joke there? There's, oh, toasters. Nobody uses a toaster anymore. It's air fryers now. Everyone uses an air fryer. They're the machine of the future. And then they talk about all the things that you can do with an air fryer. And this is on a phone call, like a three-way phone call. So one person's just sitting there listening to it. And so I don't know, certainly some of the humor I chuckled at. I can see people kind of finding it silly, but that silliness is kind of amusing. Another thing that works with this movie is the characters. I thought they were quite enjoyable. The two main guys, one of them is this Rolling Stones kind of guy and, retired rocker kind of atmosphere about him, and he's always very loosey-goosey and wants to do this and that, where the other guy's very straight. He wants to play by the rules. This is what we have to do, play it by the book. And so they do kind of play off of each other that way. And they have lots of different characters. They have this one woman and she's kind of like this fish out of water character. And so all of the characters, I enjoyed them all. And the story is dynamic enough where they're going to these characters, right? And they're trying to convince them. So they always have big conversations with them and, catch up. What did you do in the last 5 years? Oh, what happened there? What happened when? And, it works. It certainly has a nice flow to it. I would say the movie's a little bit too long, but I can't imagine them taking, much out. It just flows well, I would say. And so, yeah, you can just kind of go along with it, enjoy the characters, enjoy the story, and even, chuckle a few times. And that brings me to what doesn't work with this movie. Well, with this one, it is a low-budget movie, of course, so it does have the issue of people talking in rooms. A lot of the movie is just them talking in rooms, planning stuff, talking about who we should get, and then them going to that person and talking in maybe a car or an office or something like that, and just talking and talking and talking. And sometimes, the jokes aren't particularly funny. So if it's an extended little skit, you might want to pick up your phone a few times. And I think it's kind of a good movie to do that with. If you just get bored, pick up your phone for a minute and then, put it back down when, the next scene starts or whatever. And so it is kind of low key that way. Again, it's just people talking. You do have to kind of get into the characters to, I think, really enjoy it. And sometimes they're, talking about gibberish. There's one where they're talking about this and that, and they're just I don't want this, but I don't want that. And then they never really say what this and that are. They're using those words, but never really kind of pointing it out. So it kind of gets who's on first? Oh, who's the guy's name, right? So it's kind of that type of comedy. And so certainly a subjective comedy in there as well. What else? Oh, yeah, the action scene. They only have one action scene really because it's just a heist and the whole thing is just them planning for the heist. And they have a lot of people in their crew, so they are constantly, trying to recruit these people. So the heist actually happens quite quickly in the end. It's still interesting and fun to, watch them do it. And then along the way to the heist, there's not a lot of conflict. Like you watch Ocean's 11 and there's conflict in the middle. Oh, how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? But this one, they're just like talking in rooms, planning it all. And then it goes fairly smoothly. Of course, there's quite a big hiccup in it, but you'll have to watch the movie to see that one. So it's one of these movies where it's fine just to go along with it. Is it the best movie you've ever seen? Certainly not. Is it a fun time while you're watching it? Yeah, it's fun just to see these old guys just kind of banter and chat with each other, and so it certainly held my attention for the most part. I did pick up my phone a few times here or there when the skit was clearly not for me. And so it works, but at the same time, it requires you to enjoy kind of these low budget movies, which of course on this channel, we love that type of stuff. So it's one of those movies where it's fine to watch in the background or even just kind of watch and, play with your phone a few times. So would I recommend it? Yeah, it's a fun little comedy thing. It works. It's interesting. Certainly, like I said, it's dynamic. And yeah, certainly something you can press play on. And as for a rating, well, ultimately, I'm going to give it a 5, which is the average score. So it's just kind of, in the middle of the road, not bad, not good, but, certainly very average. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.